Welcome to the book of Ruth. This book is supposed to be a love story. However, I don't see it. We have already been introduced to words like theophany and Christophany. See previous videos about those words as they appear throughout the Bible. New words to add to this list are words that only appear in this book. Although they have applied to other books in the Bible, these words are the law of the tossing of the shoe or handing of the shoe or sandal. Goel, as in Jesus was our Goel. Goel is actually the person. And kinsman redeemer. The tossing of the shoe or sandal. If you were someone's relative, you had the option of purchasing their property upon their death in order to keep the property in the family. If you opted not to, and there was someone there that was willing to purchase it, you simply took off your shoe and handed it to them. Another way to recover the property was the year of Jubilee. This is a Jewish celebration every 50th year to return property to its original owner. Since Elimelech was deceased, this couldn't happen. Chapter 1. Elimelech and his wife Naomi and their two sons, Mahlon and Chilion, left a very drought-ridden Bethlehem and moved to Moab. The sons grew up and married Moabite women, Orpah and Ruth. Verse 6, Naomi heard that the Lord had provided food for his people in Bethlehem. Verse 8, all three women then packed to go back to Bethlehem. Verse 8, Naomi told her still daughters-in-law to go back to their mothers' homes and start over. They told her, no, we're going to Bethlehem. If the girls were to stay widows, they could keep their inheritance of their hubbies, as was the law back then. Look, girls, I can't have you wait until I have more sons, as I am too old, said Naomi. They all wept. Orpah decided to go back to Mama. Ruth was going to stay with Naomi. Upon arrival in Bethlehem, Naomi told everyone to call her Mara. She said she left Bethlehem full of blessings and returned with just Ruth. You see, the barley harvest was just about to begin, had just begun, and this could be a source of food for them if they should glean or clean the fields for food. Naomi said, go ahead. As it turned out, the field that Ruth gleaned in belonged to Boaz. When Boaz noticed a young lady gleaning in his field, he asked others who she was, and nobody knew. During their break, he spoke with her and told her only to glean his field. He then told his workers to leave more behind for her to pick up. When Ruth went home, she told Naomi about Boaz. Naomi knew he was a kinsman, and that Naomi needed to think of a way to get Ruth and Boaz together, because she needed to find Ruth a house of her own. Naomi explained to Ruth that Boaz was a kinsman. The next day, Boaz invited Ruth to eat with his group, and at that time he invited her to stay with his group each night so that she wouldn't have so far to travel back home. She declined. He commended her for what she had done, helping Naomi in getting settled in. Boaz told all his men to be very nice to her. He told his men that Ruth is to drink from their jars. Naomi put in her 2 cents. She told Ruth that Boaz will be working on the threshing floor tonight. Remember, at this point, Ruth has yet to say she likes him. Remember, at this point, Naomi is trying to get Ruth into a house of her own. She told Ruth to go get all dolled up and go to the threshing floor and lay at Boaz's feet. This was akin to Ruth proposing to Boaz. Ruth said, okay. That night, while Boaz was on break and asleep, she slipped down by his feet. She accidentally woke him. When he asked who was there, she told him he was a kinsman redeemer and that he was supposed to take care of her. This does not sound like her asking, "Would you marry me?" He replied, "Daughter, I can't." He told her that there was a closer kinsman redeemer. A kinsman redeemer is a relative allowed to buy your property if you have to sell so that they can keep it in the family. They, as the relative, redeem your hand to keep it in the family. This includes acquiring anyone that is still married to them. There is a law again amongst brothers of the faith that should the wife of a brother not have sons to carry on the family name, even though she is a foreigner, he can marry her and keep his brother's name going on. The boy that is born is a Jew because Boaz is a Jew. Chapter 4. Boaz goes to the town square to meet the closer kinsman in the presence of the town council. The man said he already had a future and couldn't add this to it between a new wife and everything else. I give you my sandal to give the option as the next kinsman redeemer. Boaz then declares to the group that he will now declare Ruth for a wife. When she has a son, the women in town finally declare Naomi has a child. Obed, her son, Jesse begat David. The irony is that these kings weren't Israelites. They were rulers over the Israelites. The reason why I say this is not a love story is because Ruth was first thought of as property. When Boaz redeemed the land, he declared Ruth as a wife because of what she had said on the threshing floor. You will take care of me. And he turned around and called her daughter. Of all the things to call her, Naomi had her do something that could have been taken wrong. But Ruth told Boaz what she did. Next, we go to 1 Samuel. 1 Samuel is about the life and times of Samuel. It is written under the prophet Samuel, who anointed Saul and David. Saul was dubious. Go see.